Vishnupad Ashtarashatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev Ki Jai Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtarashatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtarashatashmad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtarashatashmad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitila Pravishta Mahabhagavat Srila Gokshadas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nitila Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nitila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarva Bhoma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupanu Gaurya Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dashagunath Shara Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai Namachay Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sarva Abhishta Bhadata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda Ki Jai Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai Shri Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Om Jnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Itadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yang Pravrajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Virahakatara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmayataya Taravo Bhinedu Stang Sarva Bhuta Hridayam Munimanatosmi Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Shrinvatang Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridantasto Hyabadrani Vidhunoti Suhritsatam Nashta Prayeshvabhadreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tavai Vasmi Na Jivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayamang Charanantikam Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshai Kshiptashtakama Titaranga Madhe Kripa Maitam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanai Ravindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribol, Rup Manjari Didi, Gargara Ji, Indira Mataji, Pradyumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Haribol. Dandavat pranams to all of you. So now we're continuing on with our Bhagavat Pravāha reading by, what's his name? Gaurāṅga Darśana Prabhu. Canto 7. Today's section, summary on Canto 7 is shorter than a summary of Canto 6, so hopefully we won't go over time like we did yesterday. Let me just get the book. Okay. So the 7th and the 8th cantos of the Bhāgavatam represents the arms of the Supreme Lord. The 7th canto describes uti, or inclination, which is of two types, auspicious and inauspicious. Our inclinations lead us to perform pious and impious acts, which become the cause of our future happiness and distress and various births. The inauspicious inclinations of Hiranyakashipu were caused by the anger of the 4 Kumaras, who cursed Jai and Vijay to fall to the material world. The auspicious inclination for pure bhakti of Prahlad arose from the mercy of Narad Muni, who enlightened Prahlad when he was still in his mother's womb. This canto describes 2 types of bhakti. One is Shuddha Bhakti, or pure devotional service of Prahlad, and Mishra Bhakti, or mixed devotional service, that is, bhakti mixed with karma and gyan, of the persons following Varnashram, as instructions of Narad Muni to King Yudhishthir describe. Prahlad's teachings through his personal conduct and his devotional prayers to Lord Nrsingadev are by far the most enlivening section of this canto. I wonder, Uti, like there's a section when it talks about the 10 topics of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. I think one of them was Uti. I guess that's inclination. I'll have to find that later, what all the 10 topics of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam were. Anyhow. Alright. Yeah, I'll look later. So, how did Lord Nrsingadev... Sorry, I don't know why I said that. How did Lord Vishnu, who is equal and dear to all, take sides with Indra and kill the demons, as if he were biased? Parikshit inquired from Shukadeva Goswami. The Lord killed Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu as Varaha and Nrsinga, respectively, to favor Indra, apparently acting partially towards the demigods and inimically towards the demons. Although Parikshit knew of the demons' impartial nature, he desired to relish the nectar of conclusion from the mouth of Shukadeva Goswami, and thus inquired from him about the Lord's apparent partiality. One second. Okay. Shukadeva appreciated Parikshit's question. Your question is about the wonderful qualities of Lord Hari. It will reveal the glories of devotees and increase one's bhakti. Shukadeva then narrated. Why does God seem partial? Partiality is exhibited only under the influence of material modes. Lord Vishnu is unborn, he is aja, devoid of material qualities, nirguna, and transcendental to material nature, prakrite para. Consequently, he cannot be partial. He creates the time factor to control his universal creation. Due to the influence of time, when sattva gun becomes prominent, the demigods flourish. Similarly, when rajo and tamo guns are prominent, the demons flourish. But the Lord is neutral and equal to everyone. Yet, he is especially inclined to his devotees or demigods, sura priya, reciprocating with their devotion and surrender. However, even when he punishes and kills the demons, he does so out of his mercy for them. And thus grants them liberation. The Lord's inimical actions are not displays of enmity towards his so-called enemies. One thinks so only out of ignorance. To elaborate on this subject of the Lord's impartial nature, Shukadeva Goswami narrated the following conversation between King Yudhishthir and Narad Muni that constitutes the subject matter of the entire 7th Canto. God's astonishing mercy. Formerly, at the Rajasuya sacrifice, Yudhishthir had offered first worship to Lord Krishna. Envious Shishupal couldn't tolerate it and blasphemed Krishna in many ways, despite the opposition of the assembly members. Finally, Krishna beheaded Shishupal with his Sudarshan chakra and liberated him. Shishupal merged into the body of Krishna, Sayuja Mukti, right in front of everyone's eyes. Seeing this, Yudhishthir was struck with wonder and asked Narad Muni, "This is extremely surprising. How is it that a willful offender like Shishupal has attained Lord Vasudeva, which is an impossible achievement for even great endeavoring spiritualists?" Formerly, King Vain went to hell for blaspheming the Lord. But sinful Shishupal, who blasphemed Krishna right from his childhood, entered the body of Krishna. How is this ever possible? Narad replied to Yudhishthir's inquiry as follows. There's a picture. The material body is meant to experience dualities of blasphemy and praise under the influence of Maya. The conditioned soul identifies with the body and its belongings, and considers people to be friends and enemies. But the Lord has no material body, so he is unaffected by dualities of honor and dishonor. Even one who criticizes Krishna is purified and liberated by his mercy, and if that criticism leads to complete absorption in Krishna. So basically, we just have to be absorbed in Krishna in any way. Whether it's negative or positive, whatever. Just main thing is that we're absorbed in Krishna, it seems like. But if such criticism doesn't lead to absorption, the criticizer goes to hell. Constant thinking of Krishna with devotion or enmity frees one from all sin and enables one to regain one's spiritual body. The gopis attained Krishna by love. Kamsa by fear. Shishupal and other kings by envy. The Yadus by familial relationship. The Pandavas by affection and the general devotees by devotional service. Thus, when the mind is somehow or other fully absorbed in Krishna, the material part is very soon vanquished and the spiritual part, attraction to Krishna, becomes fully manifest. It's such a neat point, huh? Shishupal's anger or envy towards Krishna led him to deep and constant absorption in Krishna. Thus he was liberated. In his previous life, he was actually a devotee of Lord Vishnu. Jai and Vijay, the doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, were once cursed by the 4 Kumaras and took 3 births as demons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, Ravan and Kumbhakarna, Shishupal and Dantavakra. Jai and Vijay actually came to the material world as demons to fulfill the Lord's desire to fight and experience the mellow of chivalry. Hearing this, Yudhishthir inquired from Narad about Hiranyakashipu, who tormented his virtuous son Prahlad, and was thus killed by Lord Nrsimhadev. He also asked how Prahlad became such a great devotee. Narad Muni narrated as follows: Lamentation and Pacification. I want to follow along in the book. 1 second. Alright. Hiranyakashipu, the king of the demons, was grief-stricken when his brother Hiranyaksha was killed by Lord Varaha. Intending to kill Vishnu, he instructed the demons. Influenced by Maya, that Vishnu has given up neutrality just as a restless child takes sides. I shall behead that diplomatic Vishnu with my trident and please my brother with his blood. When he is killed, the demons will wither away, just as when a tree's root is cut, the branches and twigs dry up. Immediately go and destroy everyone who's engaged in austerity, sacrifice, Vedic study, and so on. Destroy places wherever there are cows, Brahmins, Yagyas, and Dharma. Hiranyakashipu desired to kill Vishnu by destroying Brahminical culture and, as a side benefit, destroy all the demigods. The demons who were inherently fond of destructive activities started persecuting the citizens. They set fire to the cities, villages, pasturing grounds, cow pens, gardens, agricultural fields, and natural forests, and so on. They banned all sacrifices. As a result, the demigods didn't get their oblations and left heaven in fear. Hiranyakashipu, in order to pacify his mother Diti and other relatives, narrated the story of King Suyagya. Suyagya was the king of Ushinara. When he was killed in a battle, his queens lamented in separation from him. They didn't allow his dead body to be burnt, even though the sun was about to set. Their cries even reached Yamaraj, who then came in the form of a boy to advise them. Yamaraj told them, "There is no exception for death. The same soul migrates in bodies of different species that appear and disappear by the karmas of the jiva, by the activities of the jiva. But the soul identifies with the body and bodily relationships due to ignorance. It is as foolish as a householder thinking himself identical with the house. O fools, your lamentation is contradictory. Those who are in knowledge of the eternal soul and perishable body do not lament. Once a hunter captured a female kulinga bird in his net. Seeing his wife in danger, the male bird lamented inconsolably. Meanwhile, the hunter killed him too. O foolish women, even if you lament for hundreds of years, this dead body will not come to life, while the person within the body has already moved on his journey onwards. In the meantime, your own life is running out." Everyone was struck with wonder hearing the boy. Yamaraj then disappeared, and Suyagya's relatives completed the funeral. Therefore, don't be aggrieved from the death of Hiranyaksha. Hearing these words of Hiranyakashipu, Diti and others became pacified. It's funny, all the places in this book, all the places where there should be that, he takes it out, and wherever it shouldn't be, he adds it in. Not wherever, but I'm just saying it happens often in this book. Okay. An attempt to become immortal. Despite speaking lofty philosophy, Hiranyakashipu still desired to be immortal, unconquerable, and the sole king of the entire universe. He thus performs the severe austerities in the valley of Mandara mountain to please Lord Brahma. He stood on his toes, keeping his arms upwards, looking toward the sky for endless years. This caused great disturbance all over the universe, and the demigods informs Lord Brahma of Hiranyakashipu's intentions. Brahma then went to see Hiranyakashipu, whose body was by then covered in an anthill, and whose skin, fat, flesh, and blood had all been devoured by the ants. Brahma said, It's astonishing to see your endurance. In spite of being bitten by so many insects, your life air is circulating within your bones. Who can sustain life even without water for 100 celestial years? Your unprecedented austerity has conquered me. I will give you all benedictions. Hiranyakashipu praised Brahma in several ways. Anticipating Brahma's inability to bestow immortality, as he himself wasn't immortal, Hiranyakashipu schemed a boon out of him as follows. Let me not meet death from any being created by you, within or outside of any house, during the daytime or at night, on the ground or in the sky, by any weapon, human being or animal, from any living or non-living entity, by any demigod or demon or snakes. Let me not have any rival. Give me sole lordship over all planets. Give me all the mystic powers. Obliged, Brahma granted these rare boons to Hiranyakashipu. One thing though I don't see that he asked here was, let me not meet death from any kind of disease or old age or by time. They're all external things to him, but what about? Anyways, I think that happened automatically. Indisputably powerful, Hiranyakashipu conquered all directions, oppressed the demigods, usurped sacrificial shares, and made everyone forcefully worship him. He even controlled natural phenomenon. He resided in Indra's heavenly palace, always intoxicated with his eyes rolling. In spite of enjoying all kinds of sense gratification, he was always dissatisfied due to uncontrolled senses. He thus passed a long time being proud of his opulence and transgressing the injunctions for living. Everyone was distressed by his tortures. The fearful demigods ultimately took shelter of Lord Vishnu. The Lord reassured the demigods. When Hiranyakashipu unleashes atrocities on his noble son Prahlad, I shall kill him despite the benedictions of Brahma. Virtuous son of a vicious father. Okay. Hiranyakashipu had 4 sons. The best of them was Prahlad, the reservoir of divine qualities. Prahlad was an unalloyed devotee of Lord Vishnu. He was kind, self-controlled, respectful, humble, unimaginated, and detached. Although born in the family of demons, Prahlad was devoid of demoniac qualities. Prahlad, being naturally attracted toward Lord Vasudeva, was uninterested in childish playthings. His mind was fully absorbed in and overcome by Krishna Grana Grahitatma, whom he saw everywhere due to his love. Being always embraced by Lord Govinda, Prahlad was not aware of his actions such as sitting, walking, eating, lying down, drinking, and talking, which were being automatically performed. He would cry, laugh, be joyful, dance, imitate the Lord's pastimes, shed tears, and display symptoms of ecstasy. Little Prahlad, hardly 5 years old, was sent to school where the children of demons studied. Shukracharya's sons Shanda and Amarka were his teachers, who taught politics and diplomacy to the children. Prahlad never liked the political philosophy taught by his materialistic teachers, since it involved thinking in terms of duality of oneself and others, or enemies and friends. Once Hiranyakashipu affectionately took Prahlad on his lap and asked, "My dear son, please tell me what you consider the best of all subjects." Prahlad replied, "O best of the demons, I think the best thing for all people is to give up the soul-degrading blind well of materialistic household life and go to the forest to take shelter of Lord Hari." Hiranyakashipu laughed at this and said, "The intelligence of children is being spoiled by the words of enemies. Protect this boy at the Gurukul from the Vaishnavas who might be there in disguise." Shanda and Amarka first tried amicably and then forcefully to make Prahlad give up his spontaneous love for Vishnu and instead learn their demoniac ways. But Prahlad peacefully negated their ideologies of discriminating between people as friends and enemies, and remained firmly situated in his devotion to Lord Vishnu. Unprecedented child abuse. Yeah, that is definitely unprecedented. One day, Prahlad was presented before Hiranyakashipu again. Placing Prahlad on his lap, Hiranyakashipu asked him, "My dear son, please repeat whatever you think is best, whatever is the best of the knowledge taught by your teachers." Prahlad had two kinds of teachers. Shukracharya's sons who taught him diplomacy, and Narad Muni who enlightened him in spiritual knowledge when he was in his mother's womb. Prahlad told Hiranyakashipu what he had learned from Narad. There are 9 ways of bhakti offered to Lord Krishna, namely Shravanam, hearing about him; Kirtanam, chanting his names, qualities, and pastimes; Smaranam, remembering him; Padasevanam, serving his lotus feet; Archanam, worshipping his deity with 16 types of paraphernalia; Vandanam, offering prayers unto him; Dasyam, becoming his servant; Sakyam, considering him one's best friend; and Atma Nivedanam, surrendering everything unto him. Hiranyakashipu became angry and chastised Prahlad. "Tell me, from where have you got this distorted mentality?" Prahlad replied, "Attached householders are never inclined towards Krishna. Due to uncontrolled senses, they enter hellish life and repeatedly chew the chewed. They are ignorant of the real goal of life, Lord Vishnu. They are ambitious to enjoy sense objects, just as a blind man led by another blind man fall into a ditch. They are strongly bound by ropes of Maya and suffer the threefold miseries. Only by smearing their bodies with the dust of great devotees and serving them can they be freed from material contamination." Hiranyakashipu was blinded by anger and threw Prahlad off his lap onto the ground. His angry eyes were reddish like molten copper. Hiranyakashipu ordered his servants, "Kill him immediately! He is like a diseased limb that must be amputated." Thus Hiranyakashipu tried to kill his own son Prahlad at the tender age of 5 years by throwing him under the feet of big elephants, by throwing him among the snakes, among huge snakes, by employing destructive spells, by hurling him from the top of a hill, by conjuring up illusory tricks, by imprisoning him, by administering poison, by starving him, by exposing him to severe cold, winds, fire, and water, and by throwing heavy stones to crush him. But all these attempts failed. Hiranyakashipu became anxious seeing these events unfold. Although merely a child, he is completely fearless, never forgetting Vishnu. He is like a dog's tail, never to be straightened. He appears immortal, but perhaps due to my enmity towards him, I shall surely die. Seeing Hiranyakashipu's anxiety, Shanda and Amarka advised him, You have conquered all the 3 worlds. All the demigods are afraid simply by the movement of your eyebrows. Prahlad is a small child, and his bad or good qualities have no value. He will change with passing years." Hiranyakashipu was pacified and requested them to instruct just royal household duties to Prahlad. Divine lessons in a demon's school. Shanda and Amarka taught Prahlad materialistic subjects very systematically and unceasingly, but he didn't like them. In the absence of their teachers, Prahlad's classmates would call him for playing. They were not so polluted by their teachers and were respectful to Prahlad. Prahlad taught his classmates about the futility of material life. An intelligent person should perform bhakti right from childhood, because human life is very rare. Although temporary, it is very effective for bhakti. Endeavoring for material happiness simply depletes one's lifespan and results in no substantial benefit. The 100 years of human life are wasted for a person whose senses are uncontrolled. 50 years cumulatively. Oh my God, I don't know why I can't say that. Cumulatively, from daily sleep, 20 years in childhood and sporting, 20 years in old age, and the remaining time in insatiable family attachments. Although you are sons of demons, keep aloof from demoniac association, and instead take shelter of Lord Narayan. Pleasing him is easy, and it is possible by being merciful to everyone. Nothing is unobtainable if he is satisfied. I received this knowledge of Bhagavad Dharma Bhakti Yoga from Narad Muni. Prahlad's schoolmates asked, "We have only Shanda and Amarka as our teachers at the school. You live within the guarded palace. How did he hear from Narad?" Prahlad replied, "When my father Hiranyakashipu went to perform austerities, the demigods attacked the demons and arrested my mother Kayadhu. They intended to kill me, who was in her womb. Then Narad Muni arrived and stopped them. Merciful Narad brought my mother to his ashram and spoke to her and me on great transcendental topics. My mother forgot those instructions, but by Narad's blessings, I couldn't forget them. If you put faith in my words, you can also understand spiritual knowledge like me, although you are children." Thereafter, Prahlad explained to his classmates the eternal nature of the spirit soul and the process of destroying the polluted material intelligence by bhakti yoga or Krishna consciousness. He concluded, "Bhakti is the best of all paths, recommended for disentanglement from matter and cut down by the influence of lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and jealousy. It is directly spoken by the Supreme Lord and is the easiest way to developing love of God. It begins with serving a bona fide guru with faith and devotion. The ultimate goal of human life is to render service to the lotus feet of Lord Govinda and to see him everywhere." I got distracted when I read that last sentence. Let me just reread that. The ultimate goal of human life is to render service to the lotus feet of Lord Govinda and to see him everywhere. Prahlad's schoolmates loved his teachings on bhakti and rejected the instructions of Shanda and Amarka. The final confrontation. The teachers saw the schoolboys being fixed up in bhakti yoga due to Prahlad's teachings. Being unable to control the situation, they reported to Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu became furious and rebuked Prahlad. "O most impudent, unintelligent disruptor of the family! When I am angry, all the planets tremble. By whose power are you so fearless to violate my power and worship my enemy?" Prahlad replied confidently, "The Supreme Lord is all-powerful. He is not only the source of my power and my strength, but yours and everyone else's too. Give up your mentality of discriminating between enemies and friends. Enemies are imagined only due to ignorance. The only enemy in this world is an uncontrolled mind. One will have no enemies if one controls the mind and senses, conquers the 6 plunderers within, lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and jealousy, and is equipoised to all living entities." Hiranyakashipu threatened Prahlad. "Desirous of death at my hands, you are speaking deluded words. O fool, you always describe Vishnu as a supreme being who is all-pervading. If he is everywhere, is he not in this pillar? I shall now sever your head. Let me see how your worshipable God comes to protect you now." Hiranyakashipu then struck his fist against the column. From the pillar came a fearful sound that appeared to crack the covering of the universe. To prove the statement of his servant true that the Lord is present everywhere, Lord Hari appeared in a most wonderful form of half man and half lion from the pillar and the assembly. Hiranyakashipu was astonished and studied the Lord's fearsome form, his angry eyes, shining mane, deadly teeth, razor-sharp tongue, erect ears, cave-like nostrils, broad chest, thin waist, and so on. Hiranyakashipu attacked Lord Nrsimha with his club, but became invisible within the Lord's effulgence, just as an insect falls into a fire. The Lord captured Hiranyakashipu and then let him slip from his hands, just as Garuda plays with a snake. After a long fight, the Lord killed the demon in the evening twilight, which was neither the day nor night. He placed him on his lap, which was neither the land nor the sky, in a doorway, which is neither inside nor outside of a house, and piercing him with his nails, which are neither something living nor dead, nor weapons. Thus he also kept the boon of Brahma intact, although he wasn't obliged. The Lord uprooted Hiranyakashipu's heart and threw it aside. He then killed the other demons merely with the ends of his nails. Seeing no contestant to face his power, Nrsimhadev sat on Hiranyakashipu's throne. And there's a footnote here. Let's see. Never mind. There. Although the Lord doesn't accept the seat offered by great sages, he accepted the throne already used and not offered to him, because it belongs to his devotee gatekeeper Jai, now acting as a demon Hiranyakashipu. By this, the Lord showed that his devotee is fortunate in any condition of his life. The boy who pacified the angry god. Several exalted personalities, including Brahma, Shiva, Indra, the Pitris, the Siddhas, Vidyadharas, Nagas, Prajapatis, Manus, Gandharvas, Charanas, Yakshas, Kimpurushas, Kinnaras, and Vishnu Parshads, offered their prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev. But the ferocious Lord maintained his angry mood. The demigods dared not to approach him. By the influence of the Lila Shakti, even Lakshmi couldn't approach him, saying that she had never seen such an astonishing form before. This was all fashioned by the Lord's Lila Shakti in order to make everyone taste Adbhuta Ras, or the mood of astonishment. Lord Brahma then requested Prahlad to appease the angry Lord. Little Prahlad went and fell at the feet of Lord Nrsimha, who then affectionately placed his lotus hand on the boy's head. By the touch of the Lord's hand, Prahlad manifested symptoms of ecstasy. Considering himself unfit to please and praise the Lord, Prahlad said, "O Lord, when great demigods and sages failed to satisfy you by their eloquent prayers, how can a person like me, born in a demoniac dynasty, satisfy you? Actually, no material qualifications can satisfy you, but bhakti." A devotee, even if he is low-born, is better than a well-qualified Brahman if he is a non-devotee. In fact, offerings made to you are for your own benefit and not for. Offerings made to you are for our own benefit and not for your benefit. Therefore, I shall give up the contemplation of being unfit and offer prayers for my own purification to the best of my ability. Having made up his mind to pray, Prahlad addressed Lord Nrsimhadev. Your incarnations cause protection, prosperity, and fearlessness in the entire universe. So please cease your anger now that you have killed the demon. People will always remember your auspicious form of Nrsimha to be free from fear. O Lord, I am not afraid of your fearful form with ferocious mouth, but I am afraid of conditioned life in this material existence. So I need your shelter. The material world is filled with dualities and miseries. The remedies for miseries are more miserable than the miseries themselves. So I shall chant your glories following the footsteps of the parampara of realized sages. Your energies manifest everything, and your shelter liberates us from Maya, because you are the controller of Maya. The happiness of this world is insubstantial. I have seen the futility of long life, opulence, and power. My father had all these, but you vanquished them along with all these worldly opulences in a minute. I do not desire them, but I just wish to serve your pure devotees, and specifically Narad Muni, who saved me. You have mercifully put your hand on my head." Humbly presenting himself as a conditioned soul, Prahlad said, "Whatever exists in this cosmos only because of you..." Yeah. So, whatever exists in this cosmos is only because of you. My mind is afflicted by lust, fear, desire, and dualities, and I am always embarrassed by my ever-distracted senses. Simultaneously, Prahlad expressed his concern for the ignorant masses rotting in the material realm. "I have obtained fearlessness in this world because I am constantly absorbed in chanting your glories. But I am concerned about the fools who are averse to you, making plans for their sense enjoyment. I do not wish to be delivered alone, leaving these wayward men behind. I see many sages interested only in their own deliverance and not caring for others' deliverance. For those wandering blindly in this world, I do not see any shelter other than you." One second. Prahlad's prayers showed his deep humility, devotion, eagerness for shelter, fear of conditioned life, compassion for the fallen souls, and his knowledge of Godhead's unlimited opulence and glories. He indirectly indicated and directly declared that bhakti is the ultimate refuge, and that the material opulences are futile. Nrsingadev was pleased with him and told Prahlad to ask for any benediction he wanted. Selfless servant and the merciful master. Considering material benedictions to be impediments in bhakti yoga, humility personified Prahlad told Nrsingadev, "O Lord, due to my demoniac birth, I am already attached to material enjoyment. Please don't tempt me with boons. I am not a merchant to trade my bhakti for some material benefit. I am your unmotivated servant, and you are my eternal master, never dependent on my service. If at all you want to give me a benediction, I desire to not ever have any material desires that destroy all the good qualities of a person." Yet Lord Nrsingadev told Prahlad to rule as the king of demons till the end of the Manvantar, and said, It does not matter that you are in the material world. You will always hear my topics and will be absorbed in my thought. Your glory will be sung in all the planets, and you will ultimately come to me. One who will remember your activities and my activities, and who will chant the prayers you have offered to me, will become free from the material reactions." Compassionate Prahlad then requested the Lord, Please excuse my father, who committed sins against me and blasphemed you." Nrsingadev replied, "Hiranyakashipu has been purified along with his 21 forefathers. Because of your birth, your entire dynasty has been purified." Thereafter, Brahma made Prahlad the king of all the demons. After hearing about Prahlad, humble Yudhishthira thought, Prahlad was so fortunate to have appeased the Lord and having personally seen him. But we are not so fortunate. Narad immediately encouraged him. You Pandavas are most fortunate. Although Lord Nrsingadev appeared for Prahlad, the Supreme Lord in his original form as Krishna is always living with you in your palace, being attracted to your devotion. Krishna is your intimate friend, cousin, well-wisher, guru, and he acts as your servant. Even Brahma and Shiva cannot understand and describe the Supreme Lord's glories. Narad then described how once Lord Shiva derived power from Krishna to kill demons who tormented the three worlds by traveling in 3 invisible airborne castles, Tripura, built by Maya Danava, and he got the name Tripurari. The 4 social classes. Yudhishthira then expressed his desire to hear from Narad Muni about Sanatan Dharma and Varnashram Dharma. Narad said, Sanatan Dharma, or the eternal religion of every living being, is to satisfy Lord Hari by performing Bhakti Yoga. He then described 30 qualities like humility, mercy, non-violence, etc., by which one can satisfy the Lord. Narad Muni then described the duties and qualities of the 4 Varnas, namely the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. These Varnas are not based on one's birth, but one's qualities and activities. Duties. The 6 duties of Brahmins include worshipping Krishna and teaching others to worship Krishna, studying the Vedas and teaching others the same, accepting charity and giving charity. Kshatriyas should not accept charity, but they may perform the other 5 duties of the Brahmanas. A Kshatriya maintains law and order and may make livelihood by levying taxes upon his citizens. Vaishyas, or the mercantile community, undertake agriculture, trade, and cow protection. Shudras accept masters from higher social order and serve them to earn livelihood. Symptoms: self-control, cleanliness, mercy, satisfaction, knowledge, truthfulness, forgiveness, simplicity, austerity, and surrender to the Lord are the symptoms of a Brahman. Bravery in battle, patience, challenging spirits, and so on are the symptoms of the Kshatriya. Devotion to demigods, spiritual master, and Lord Vishnu, endeavoring for advancement in Dharma, Artha, and Kama, believing in the words of Guru and Scripture, expertise in earning money, these are all the symptoms of a Vaishya. Obedience to the 3 higher castes, cleanliness, service to a master without duplicity, doing sacrifices without uttering mantras, not stealing, truthfulness, and protecting cows and Brahmins are the qualities of a Shudra. Thereafter, Narad also described the duties of a chaste wife and mixed classes. The 4 spiritual orders, ashramas. Okay, and this is the end of the chapter. What time is it? Okay. A brahmachari student should live in a gurukul and serve Guru with submissiveness and self-control, and shouldn't associate with women. A grihasta should marry and work to sustain oneself, but not try to enjoy the results, which may result in bondage. He should offer the results of one's work to Krishna, offer charity to the Brahmins, associate with saints, and slowly inculcate detachment from relationships and possessions. A vanaprastha should slowly retire from family life and cultivate detachment while living in the forest and sustaining with bare minimum efforts. A sannyasi should be renounced, peaceful, fully surrendered to Lord Narayan, and surviving on alms while depending on no place or no person. Narad further described the conduct of a sannyasi by quoting a conversation between Prahlad Maharaj and an Avadut Brahmin, who described the futility of material happiness and the joy of renunciation. Narad Muni then described the body chariots metaphor and the paths of pravritti and nivritti, enjoyment and detachment. In his previous life, Narad Muni was a Gandharva named Upabarhana, who was cursed by the Prajapatis to become a Shudra for his misbehavior. Appreciating the pure devotion of the Pandavas, Narad Muni concluded his narration. Alright, so that is the 7th canto. In the 8th canto, it's the story of Gajendra. I'm just curious what's everything in the 8th canto. I'm just going to read this one paragraph. The 8th canto vividly presents the theme of the Manvantar, or the reign of the Manus. The Manus are the administrators of the universe, appointed by the Supreme Lord. There are 14 Manus who rule in one kalpa, or a day of Lord Brahma, that spans over 1,000 Chaturyugas. Also, Shukadev describes the 6 categories of universal administrators in each of the 14 Manvantars, past, present, and future, in the current of the day of Brahma. The pastimes of the Lord in some Manvantars, as requested by Parikshit, are vividly presented. Thus we read the thrilling adventure of Gajendra's 1,000-year fight, the churning of the milk ocean by the demons and demigods for the nectar of immortality, King Bali's victory over heaven, his being robbed and ultimately delivered by Lord Vaman, and finally, the cosmic rescue operation carried by the Matsya avatar. In all these episodes, the Lord protects his devotees in various fascinating forms as Hari, Ajita, Kurma, Sahasrabahu, Dhanvantari, Mohini Murti, Vaman, and Matsya. This canto highlights the divine qualities of renunciation, dependence on God, tolerance, and humility as exhibited by devotees, and presents the inevitable struggles that come in pursuits for power in the material world, the dangers of material wealth, lust and pride, and the consequences of offenses to great souls. Alright, so that's all what's in the 8th canto. Gajendra, the churning of the milk ocean, and the story of Bali and Vamandev. And Matsya. All those topics. Alright, so tomorrow we will begin finally our reading of the 5th canto. 5th canto is pretty much just the story of Nrsingadev, the whole thing. Just a little, maybe just a little part at the end when it talks about the 4 varnas and ashrams, but other than that, it's all that story, isn't it? All right. Can we sing a Nrsingadev song? Sure, we have a few minutes left. I'll just get my Mridanga. Okay. One second. Namaste Narashinkaya Praladaladaine Hiranyakashipu Shilatanka Nakalaye Ito Nrishingo Parato Nrishingo Yato Yamitato Nrishingo Bahir Nrishingo Hridaye Nrishingo Narasingamadim Sharanam Prapade Avakara Kamalavare Nako Marbuta Shingam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tano Bringa Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Shinashinga Jai Nashinga Jai Jai Nishinga Praladesha Jaya Parma Mukha Parma Bringa Praladesha Jaya Parma Mukha Parma Bringa Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Nishingadev, 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 Jaya Nishingadev, Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Bhakta Prahlad, Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Shinitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gaurāṅga Darśana Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashta Shmar, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev Ki Jai, Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashta Shmar, Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashta Shmar, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashta Shmar, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashta Shmar, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nitya Pravishta Mahabhagavat Srila Gaurāṅga Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Nitya Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Nitya Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Rupano Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Dashagunath Shara Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai, Namachay Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Kshetra Mandal Gaura Mandal, Vrajamandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Sarva Abhishtapadata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Radha Kun Shama Kun Ki Jai, Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya Ki Jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Nishinga Dev Ki Jai, Bhakti Vigna Vinasankari, Shri Nishinga Bhagavana Ki Jai, Bhakta Pravar Bhakta Raja, Shri Palar Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Lakshmi Nishinga Dev Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Seventh Canto Ki Jai, Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai, Shinitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Gaur. Vrindai Tulsi Devai, Priyaya Keshavashacha, Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi, Sattvatai Namo Namaha, Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams. I'm so excited to get into the 7th canto now. Yeah, finally reached it after, 1.5 years now. And just like I mentioned before that I was thinking of canceling my ticket. Yeah, I think I mentioned it yesterday, right? That I was thinking of canceling my ticket and getting a ticket for later, maybe so I did it yesterday, and I'm not coming to, I won't be leaving on the 12th, but I'll be leaving on the 27th instead. So yeah, there won't be any break in our reading for a while. For another couple weeks, at least. A bit more than a couple weeks. Alright. Dandavat Pranams. See you all tomorrow. Haribol.